So how can training programs be used to support employee development? So by the end of the video, you're going to understand the unparalleled value of training your team, and also we're going to lock in on one step. I think it's going to be incredibly helpful for you. Hey, you got to stop babysitting your team and instead lean in with confidence when you're training. Do you wish you had the inside scoop on how to train your people? Well, you're about to find out. So when we talk about this issue of training programs, I know there's a lot of small business owners that look at this and go, I don't have time to do this. This is way too complex. And we kind of fall prey under this idea of the common sense myth. And that is, what is common to me is common to you. And I could have a twin brother living in the same country, speaking the same language, and yet you'll watch us do life very, very differently. Why? It's because there's really no such thing as a common sensibility around issues. And so that's why we've got to be intentional around this idea of training. Well, you know, I only have 1 or 2 or 3 people in it. Yeah, perfect. That's a great time to start. And so having a clear training and development program is going to bring the clarity that your team needs. You know, when we're going around the country and speaking, there's a lot of people that come and go, hey, what's the one thing? What's that silver bullet? They won't use that term, but that's really what they're asking for. And so we'll tell them right out of the gate, hey, there's one silver bullet if you want it. I'll go ahead and give it to you. And it starts with the letter C, and it's the word clarity. It's more than money. It's more than anything else that you can imagine in the HR department and benefits that are coming out. Employees, young and old, it does not matter the generational effectiveness of that employee. They could be 60, 40, 20, it does not matter. They want one thing, and that's clarity. And if you can give them clarity, they will start to give you a response to exactly what you are desiring for the mission of your business. So when you develop a training program for your employees, we want to think of it in 3 phases. Number 1 is the pre-hire, so before we bring them in. Well, what if I've already got them here? Well, we'll deal with that later. Second is the actual hiring process, the onboarding process. And then third is the ongoing. So we want to think of it in 3 stages. Before they come, right when they're coming on, let's say the first 90 days, and then as they're moving forward and ongoing. Think about this. Sports teams and military commands, what do they have in common when they're not either playing a game or fighting a war? They're training. Why don't we do that in business? And so if we can start to think in those 3 stages by bringing that C word, that clarity that we talked about, now all of a sudden you can give them that silver bullet that they're looking for. And instead of coming in their first week and feel like they're being babysat, listen, no new employee wants to feel babysat. And frankly, no owner wants to feel like they have to babysit. But too many times as owners, we come in to a new employee that's come in and we just start to wing it. And we use phrases like, hey, we're just going to throw them to the wolves. Well, your papa might have taught you how to swim that way, but that's not how we're going to teach new employees how to onboard. One of the greatest lack of empowerment for new employees is when we don't train, and what that does is it leads them to be ill-equipped. Think of every employee having a tool belt of equipment on. And a lot of them come in and they have tools, but they're mismatched tools, they're in the wrong spots or whatever. Some people don't have any tools at all. And we could make an argument that many times I would actually rather have somebody with either no experience or little experience in a certain area, but I've got a great training program to be able to bring them on and onboard them with. And now what I'm starting with is somebody who's hungry about learning a new way of doing things. Just because somebody's got 20 years of experience in your area doesn't mean they have 20 years of experience on how you do that thing or you want them to do that thing. So when you provide an employee training program, you can take somebody with 20 years of experience, and a lot of times you're going to have to unlearn what they've already learned, and you can retrain them in that, or you can take somebody with very limited experience and be able to train them on exactly the areas that you want to train them on in the methodology that you want them to do that with. What a training development program does is go back to that tool belt analogy. A lot of times when they come in, all right, so if the tool belt is disjointed and you've got tools all over the place, well, one of the things we need to do is organize those tools. But many times we need to supply them with tools. We talk about this in our leadership definition. It's the idea of equipping people with knowledge tools. So imagine they've got that tool belt. We want to take knowledge tools, things like org charts, job roles, onboarding checklist, job role checklist, a variety of different things, even how to, let's say you're a home builder, how to walk a job, how to do an electrical walk. All of these things need to be downloaded from the owner's mind or the key leader's mind and need to be knowledge tools that go into the tool belt. When that employee feels equipped, now they have this level of confidence that is really hard to replace by just sending them out to outsource training. A lot of times what happens is when we feel like our employees are not equipped, we look around and we go, hey, what's a third-party training that I can send them to for a week that get them motivation to come back in? Well, then within 4 weeks, they've lost all that motivation. Why? It's because we've lost the value, not only of the clarity that you can bring, but also the repetition, the predictability, and the meaning that they need to find meaning and value in their work. And so when they're not well equipped, well stocked, think of it like an outfitter center. If you're going to go kayaking, hiking, biking, skiing, what do you want to do before? You want to go to an outfitter center. You want to get the right gear before you go out on this journey. Well, a new employee needs the right gear, and that gear needs to come from your outfitter center. And so you're equipped to actually create an employee development program. You don't need to go outside necessarily to be able to do that. You're equipped with just what you have. We just got to get it out of your head onto a sheet of paper. Michael Gerber said this, if it's not written down, you don't own it. I'm a little bit harsher, and I say it this way, if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. And so we want to make sure that we get these things out of your head. How do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? Get it out on your head. That becomes a knowledge tool that we can now put in the tool belt of your employee. One of the other powers of a training program is it actually hedges you, the leader, the owner, against your team looking elsewhere. You know how everybody gets. They start to look around, they hear from their friends, hey, what if you did this? What if you did this? You want to create team members that when they get offered, when they get solicited for other opportunities, they kind of look at it and go, I mean, I would never leave this. Why would I leave this? I'm not going to find this anywhere else. All the other places I've come from have never created the level of investment that they have created for me here. And you have the power to be able to do that. But you've got to get out of your own way, because too many times when it comes to developing a training and development program for your team, you think either you don't have what it takes because it takes some outside profession, when in reality, it's all right in your head right now. We just got to take time to be able to get that out on a sheet of paper. In fact, if you just took a scratch sheet of paper and a pen and just started to brain dump everything that you know by titles, just by categories, within about 5 to 10 minutes, you'd probably have a list of 10, 20, 30, or 40 different items that are all in your head. Well, that's your training outline. You've already done it. And when you do that, you're hedging against team members and employees looking elsewhere for all the other opportunities. Why? Because they feel equipped here. Why would they go somewhere else if they are getting all the equipment they need right here? You know, so now I'm thinking about it, with that scratch sheet of paper, let's make that your action item. Right now, why don't you go get a scratch sheet of paper, all right? And I won't tell you to hit pause. Just get something. Look around. Is there a napkin? Is there whatever? Get a pen, get a pencil. I don't care what it is. And go ahead, once this video is over, I want you to begin to write down as many of those items that you could think. And you can start to think of it this way. What are all the tactics, the tasks that I wish I didn't have to do anymore? Because in reality, you don't. If you could equip other people to be able to do that, well, but I don't know that anybody can do it like I do it. Well, they can't right now. It was John Maxwell, he said this one time. He said, if you can find somebody to do the task 80% as well as you do it, go ahead and pass it off. Now, you got to be careful, because we're prone to what we call abdication instead of delegation. Abdication is where we just go, hey, do this, and common sense will teach you how. That's abdication. You're really abdicating responsibility at that point. Don't do that. Instead, what we're going to do is properly delegate it. Well, how do we do that? We take that item that's in your head and then think, okay, what are the 8 steps, the 3 steps, the 10 steps that it takes to get that thing done? Now I'm going to follow this model, MAWL, model, assist, watch, leave. Model, assist, watch, and leave. So I'm going to take that 10-point checklist, that 4-point checklist. I'm going to model it for this person. I'm going to assist this person. I'm now going to watch this person. And now I'm going to let this person do it themselves. So can you take just a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, set a timer on your phone, 5 minutes, scratch sheet of paper and a pen, write down everything that you would want to get rid of out of your head, and all of a sudden that becomes the outline for your training. All right, so you're starting to take action. You're like, oh, what do I do next? I have got a great video that's going to be super helpful for you, and that is how to effectively train a new employee. So if we want to really drill this down, remember I talked about past, present, future? Well, let's go into the present of onboarding, how we got that new employee. Let's stock them with the right tools. This video is going to be super powerful and draws on the over a decade of experience we have in building these programs. And that link is in the description below. I'm Scott Beebe, and we do one thing, and we do it really well. We liberate business owners from chaos so that you can make time for the things that matter most.